Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and in today's video, we're going to be giving you everything migration. So anything and everything you need to know, we'll be talking about it today. And then some. I'm also going to give you some little tips and some tricks near the end of the video and some do's and don'ts too as well. So stay tuned for that. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So let's first off define how migration works. So Season 2 is when you'll be able to migrate first. That's going to be at your end of season timeline, and I'll give you an example of what that looks like here. So if we zoom all the way in, you'll see that in this group, now this is T1 season, right? But this is more or less still how it'll look for you in Season 2 once you get to the end of the season. Now this typically will happen after all the Auguststone chapters have been completed and your end of season timeline or your Titan's Legacy has finished. And I'll give you an example of that, right? So Titan's Legacy will pop here. For those of you that are privy, you'll just go to seasonal and you can see Titan's Legacy is ended, right? So once it's ended, /Auguststone, all the chapters are finished. After some time, really my recommendation is just keep checking at reset. But then you'll get this end of season timeline that'll pop. You'll see here, it starts, you get a day, 17th to 18th, right? Again, your dates will probably be different, but this is pretty consistent, right? It's always usually been a 24-hour window up until migration, and then you get a 3-day window once migration pops. And then if this is how the updated timelines will start looking, you'll kind of get 4 of these, right? You'll go preview, migration, summary, home realm, and then you'll be in the home realm for whatever that may be. Is it a week, 2 weeks, right? We'll see once we get a first look at that on the 27th for the first group that's going in there, which is I think 289 through 292. And then you'll come up to your matchmaking period, right? Where you'll get matched into your new KVK and new divisions, and then you'll have your new start time, right? Now, it should be noted that once you're able to start migrating from Season 2 and beyond, you do want to be privy to a couple things here. So, one is that if you do want to migrate, and I'll show you that right now, right at the moment, it costs, so that's seasonal talents, would be nice if we can click on the right thing. And now it's going to make us go through this entire tutorial. Fantastic. Oh, thank you so much, health person. Let's now go over to migration. So if I click on this, right, you can see that I can migrate to any of these kingdoms. If I select one, you'll see, right, it costs 5k gems. Now, bear in mind, this will be the last divisional migration for the end of seasons of these KVKs that it's going to cost 5k gems. That is because in the next update, which will be 1.0.26, that's going to be coming in mid-June, we'll be changing this. They will be removing the 5k gems, and they will be transitioning to a migration permit or /passport system if you've played Rise of Kingdoms and you're familiar with that. Now, for those of you that are wondering, okay, boss, how may that look? I'm going to give you an example. So this is a image that was actually, I have a couple of these, but the most recent one I saw was posted on the COD Gen Chat. And you can see, now this is not going to be an apples to apples. This will just give you a soft gauge. Let me be very clear. They have not released any information as far as pricing for bundles on what the tiers are going to be. The only one that we know absolutely is that one migration permit will apply to 5 million power or less than 5 million power, right? Which would be 4,999,999. You can see here that that's half of what it is in Rock. So does that mean that the credit costs or the time spent out, please, up right there, close the door. And does that mean that these credit costs, the amount cost for month, will be half? Possibly. We just don't know. There's not enough information that's out at the moment, but if you're just curious on what this looks like, you can see every 5 million power, right? The pages will go. So if this is the way they're going to do it, you can just start this from 5 million power and then just do 5, 10, 15, 20, and then use the same pages. Again, these are soft gauges, right? That's just the main takeaway. Now, the next thing I want to touch on is the migration adjustments, right? So you can see they did a system update on the 13th. This was 5 days ago, where they said, please note that servers in Season 2 and beyond will have their last division migration. This is just so you can see the official wording opportunity at the end of the season. As the season ends, the migration system will be temporarily closed. We will introduce a new migration system in the next update. Again, that's 0.26. That'll be coming in mid-June. Once the new migration system is launched, there will be significant adjustments to the migration rules, right? That's where we're going to get special immigration. You'll have which will be basically where you can accept, deny, and then you'll have the non or the regular migration, which it seems as though you will not be able to accept, deny. People will just be able to join at that time. Again, we don't have enough. High King still isn't out because we're not going to be able to take a look at that, and or may not even be able to see the migration tab until the mid-June update. So migration just may still be operating as normal until we end up getting those things. Now, the next thing to touch on, which for me is I think just some nice tips and tricks, is that let's go over what the activity statuses are and what those indicate. Ooh, before I do that, let me just, even though I'm, slowly doing it, why not? Let's go over activity statuses real quick. So if we look at a division, you can see that you have 4 activity statuses, and this is important as it pertains to migration. You have normal, active, crowded, and full. Now, full means you can't have anyone join. Normal means you can have 350 people about that can join a kingdom. Active is about 200, and then crowded, from what we now have a better understanding of, is anywhere between 1 and probably between 100, right? It's like probably 1 to 99 is most likely what that means. And essentially, the reason I say that, and the reason that's important to note, is that crowded is basically anything between like half of active and full. And that's why we say like 1 to 99. And the reason this is important to have an understanding of is that crowded kingdoms are probably ones where individuals would go to, not necessarily groups. Or I would say large groups. Like I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe up to 10 if you're thinking like small groups of friends that are going. And I say that because there's no way of knowing what that number is. And you would rather, especially if you are trying to move in a group that is about that size or larger, you may find better results as far as getting everyone over to where you need to get to if you migrate to an active or a normal status kingdom, especially if you're trying to do, half, full alliance, 2 alliances, etc. So that's the important thing. And what this also means is that normal could be anything from 201 to 350. And active could be anything from 200 to 100, right? And I think that is more of an accurate indicator or indication or description of how the statuses resemble. Because up until now, I think most people have been under the impression that, okay, well, every normal status just means 350. And that's just not the case. It basically is within a range. And I think that's a better way of understanding it. So that way players can more appropriately prepare, whether they plan to leave a kingdom and go somewhere else, or if they're trying to get people into their kingdom and they're trying to make sure that they do it in the most efficient and effective way. So just something that's really important, and hopefully that helps you in some way, shape, or form, right, for your migration journey. Now, the thing that I will say about migration, because I have always, people have asked me this a number of times as far as, well, boss, what do you think about the, let me, 2 things here if I can. The first is, and should be the most important thing for anyone, is do your due diligence, right? Now, I have a sheet that I'm going to be coming out with, and I'll probably do another one of these videos once we start getting into home realms and we start seeing kind of who's going to be king and queen and how the kingdoms are going to stabilize themselves, right? So we're probably still a few months away from this, but I think I have it somewhere. I think it's here. Yeah. So here's an example of a spreadsheet I'm working on and I'm going to be doing. I still have to reach out to some people and ask them questions about what kind of columns they'd like to see. But the idea behind this, and this is something that to my knowledge has never been done in a kingdom builder before, is where I'm going to have every single kingdom listed here. Players, this is going to be public. It's going to be updated in real time, so anyone can access this. Hundreds of people can access this at the same time. And basically, it's just going to give you quick overview information on every kingdom, what their goals are, what their standards are, what their migration policies are, what their player requirements are, power requirements, etc. Anything and everything you need to know is going to be available here on this spreadsheet, right? You want to know what the recruiter's name is in-game so you can message them. You want to know what the recruiter Discord is. Do they have a Discord server? If they do, I'll put a link to it so you can go right there and join. How do they run their SLE, their Strongest Lords events? right? How is their power distribution, PD, right? Is it balanced? Is it imbalanced? Right? How many active alliances do they have? How many active shells? How many available shells do they have? Which is available shells, right, that might be leveled up or you can get in, or at least to some degree. TD, right, which is power distribution, team distribution. I'm not sure. I'm actually forgetting that, shockingly enough, and I'm blanking hard. It's going to come back to me. How about recruiting details, right? Are they looking for 35 million plus power? Do they want any power? Are they looking for 50 million plus power, and you have to be 50 million plus kills? Any power, right? What's their status? Are they unified? Are they independent? Meaning that meaning that all of the active alliances there that could be worth joining are everyone is together, or are they apart, right? And not everyone's together. So just some things to keep in mind. Now, again, I can add a few more things here. Again, I'd love to hear from you, right? If you're someone who is looking to migrate somewhere, and or if you're someone who is wanting players to come migrate to you, what is important to you, right? If you had an opportunity to look at previews for any kingdom in the game before you decided to reach out to them, before you decided or even consider them for migration, what do you want to know? What do you want to be able to see? Let me know in the comments down below. And then we'll get to the last piece for me. And the last piece is more about making sure that when you migrate, that you do it with the intent of wanting it to be your home. Making sure that you have good intentions for where you're migrating to. Now, again, I understand not everyone will, right? You will have some people that are like in mercenary groups, some people that just like the rogue play. It's understandable, right? There's different strokes for different folks, as they say. However, as a general rule of thumb, I'm always a big proponent of people needing to have the most information available, so that way you can find the best fit available, right? The challenge in this whole world of migration and recruitment is that there has never really been this kind of one-stop shop, all-encompassing resource, or even just a great resource on where you can go to get information on kingdoms before you make a decision, right? And that's before you make a decision to reach out, and even before you make a decision to migrate. Because up until now, right, and obviously once the sheet really starts to flourish, is that you've always had to kind of do things word of mouth. You've either had to go on the official Discord, which, let me see, I think I'm on my content thing. Let's load this up. I'll give you an example here, right? So if we go over to COD, and we go to recruitment, you've either had to go on the official Discord and look through all of these, right? And I'll give you an example too as well if we look at Rock, right? So if we go to Rock and we go to, where's the recruitment thing? So we go to recruitment, and here's another example, right? Now, yeah, you can do a few more filtering options here if you want, right? So if I want to go look at particular KVKs or what season they might be in, I can do that. But keep in mind, not every single kingdom advocates, not every kingdom promotes, right? And that's the important takeaway there. And the same thing is going to apply to COD as well. Not everyone, not every kingdom, not every alliance is promoting themselves. Not everyone's recruiting. And on top of that, not every group is posting their details. Like, this is something that's pretty prominent in Rock, where you'll have players that will post their details in the recruitment channel. You'll also have groups that will post their details, right? So they may say something like, oh, we're a group of 50 people, combined power, we're at 5 billion. We have 100 billion kills, like stuff like that, right? That they'll post. And that's great and all. But the challenge really is that you're always going to have a limited number. You're not going to have a scope for everyone. And because of that, players and groups that are making decisions on where to go are just not having all the information available to them. So, in me saying all of this, one, it's me hoping that this kind of a sheet will be very helpful for people out there, whether that's for kingdoms that just want to post their details, and or if it's for players or groups or people that are looking to migrate somewhere to be able to go and have a really nice objective snapshot of what a kingdom's overview, right, what a kingdom's kind of 411 is. And then the last one, and this is something I briefly mentioned earlier, is that I just hope that when people migrate, they're doing so, like I said, with good intentions. Like, you are really trying to do your best job to find a good fit for you, because if you can find a better fit for you, you're more likely to, one, keep playing the game, two, if you spend, potentially keep spending, and three, stay in that kingdom longer than you may have if you didn't have all this information available, right? And you kind of had to make a choice with limited information, right? Unless maybe you have friends or something like that with the word of mouth that we mentioned earlier, where you have friends or people that you know, and you just think to yourself, okay, well, this is probably the only good option I may have, because you just may not have a lot of other information. So for me, it's just all about trying to provide as much information to the community as possible so everyone can make an informed decision. So that's it. That's it for me on my migration guide, my tips, my tricks, the sheet we're working on. I'd love to hear what you guys think. Let me know anything and everything in the comments down below. As always, until next time, I'll catch y'all later.